This is Vampiro's podcast. I think it's my third version in English. And you've been seeing him on every podcast, and I've been introducing him to you as my podcast partner and my good friend Scott. And you've kind of got a little bit of feeling about him. You've seen that he's involved in boxing and he's an entrepreneur. He's had a colorful life. But, you know, as we're growing in this and as we're coming into a pathway that we're really taking this serious, I'm going to do something with you today, Scott, that I learned in pro wrestling. Start from the back and go to the beginning. So as I was saying, Scott, you can just tell, and you can tell from previous episodes with him, that Scott has a very colorful past. He's had a very diverse lifestyle, and there's a lot of different facets to him. So right now you're seeing the version of Scott who is a very successful businessman, who is a very accomplished author, who's somebody in the boxing world and somebody in the fitness world, and definitely has been involved in the martial arts, whether it's combat sports such as amateur wrestling, boxing, any kind of kickboxing, or even karate, I believe you studied, up into seeing his good friend do the magic of pro wrestling, to being involved with some of the biggest names in the history of boxing. So, seeing this person here and introducing you that way, Scott, I want to go back, but I want you to tell me, who was Scott before the dream even began? Let's start at Scott at 6 years old. Who was Scott Anthony? From Chicago, Illinois, on the corner of?
Thought we weren't going to talk about anything personal.
Okay. Scott, you're in your menopause.
Yeah. Okay. 6-year-old boy. It's funny because I'm writing about this right now. Thanks for saying all those wonderful things about me. And there were some people, I read the last podcast we did together. People were saying, like, man, who is this guy?
Yeah.
If he's cool with Vampiro, he's cool with me, I guess. And so thank you for plugging me. I got my book, Smoke, coming out in about 2 months, January 22nd. And I'm actually working on the second book, the second of 4 books that are with the editor, publishing company. And I'm working on it, and I just went over that. So I was just like anybody else in the world. We're all innocent. We're all born with no sins and innocent. And my father left when I was 4.
Okay.
My father left when I was 4, and my mother leaned on her parents, my grandparents, because they were solid people. The family was still tight back then. Family isn't tight that much anymore. And my grandfather died when I was 7, and that was it. It's kind of like I lost my bearing, and for whatever reason, I was drawn into the streets, and street gangs were a very big thing in Chicago, very big thing. And I was drawn in by the mystique of the older guys. I don't care what anybody says. When you're young, you look up to older guys. We all want to be older, and I wanted to be older. And at that time, Ian, what a beautiful period of time that we lived. You and I both lived the most amazing period of time in humanity. There were muscle cars.
Yeah.
Everybody was thin. People were relatively just cool. The sexual revolution had basically started like in the 60s. So
Music was good.
The music was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some good music now, and I'm not taking anything away from any artist. It's funny. I can hear a hit, and I know it's going to be a hit. It doesn't matter what genre it is.
Right.
I have that ability. You hear it once, and you go, that's good. So nothing taking away from the artist today, but the music was awesome. So I started hanging out with gangs. I jumped in feet first into the Chicago street gang scene.
This is a big side note, and then I'm going to come back to this story.
Okay.
I'm an aficionado of New York City from the early 60s up until the beginning of the 80s because of the music and cultural revolution.
Sure.
Going back to the Velvet Underground in the 60s and the early 70s, Andy Warhol, the beginning of the New York Dolls, the beginning,
Soho.
all of that, the Lower East Side, you know, that was like pre-trans and all that kind of shit. That's when guys were dressing up as transvestites to play rock and roll in gay clubs. It's a whole other fucking thing that I grew up with. The gang sector, though, like, you know that I spent time with the Guardian Angels and all that kind of stuff, but even that movie Flying Cuts, or even the movie The Warriors, is based on a true story that happened 9 years earlier in New York City. It really happened. Why am I saying this? because New York City's gang culture was so notorious. They had over 600 gangs at one time. What was comparable to Chicago in the mid-70s? How was it? Like Rockaway was the big thing in the summertime for gangs. How was Chicago? Because gang culture is not drive-by shootings. I'm talking about the whole fucking protocol. How was it then for you, like at that point in time?
I got hands-on experience, and this is a great subject. So Chicago, my Chicago, not Chicago today, because actually, here's a funny story. The editor, Holly, the one who's editing my book from 0 to 17 years old, she said, Scott, I'm reading this and I'm in shock. She said, I lived in Chicago a few years ago, and I'm reading this and going, I don't get it. It was like this. Chicago was broken down into neighborhoods.
Okay.
You had neighborhoods, and then we had corners. So what we did, you have a certain neighborhood, and then you picked a certain corner, and you coined your gang. That was your location. In my case, it was TR and FC. That was Tui and Ridge, Farwell and Clark. But then there was another one, Paline and Cornelia, Drake and Wolfram, Southport and Fullerton, and each one of these corners had a president like I was. I was the president of my branch, and we happened, the Simon City Royals happened to have a lot of corners in Chicago. Each corner set had a certain other gang that they fought with. Some were 2, 3, 4 gangs, because since you're broken up into a neighborhood, you might be stuck on a fucking island. Like, you're between 1st and 3rd Street and 6th and 8th.
Okay.
And you can't basically leave that neighborhood safely. Your life was at risk to just leave that area. So you form your gang, your crew, your protection. Otherwise, your neighborhood would get swallowed into another crew. It's territorial. I relate it mostly to like the Vikings. And then we had arch rivals where you're talking shootouts every other night. It's a guaranteed fight if you see somebody anywhere on the street, even if they're with their parents, if they're with their girlfriend, and it's just savage behavior. And surviving those neighborhoods it was sometimes cost people their life.
So, being that you were without a father figure, you get into that lifestyle, so it comes with a price. What we've heard 100 million times. But what was the positives out of that?
I don't know if there was any positive side, but I'm a positive guy and I always look for the silver lining. I wouldn't be who I am today
without that.
Without that.
Yeah.
If one time I saw my father, I was already on the run. I was already a fugitive, and I had gotten myself so deep into the street. It's pretty incredible. And I saw my father for the first time since I was 10.
Okay.
And I'm 24. Let's say I'm 24, maybe 25, and I'm at his house. He's got a house. He's got a new wife, and I got my lifelong friend Brett with me. We're socializing with my dad.
Brett.
Yeah, rest in peace. I miss him every day. And we're having a beer. I'm a man now. My dad's an old man, and having a beer. And I said, I got to ask you something. Why did you just take off? I mean,
you fucking asked him?
Oh yeah, I asked him. But I asked him in a soft way.
Right.
I'm not mad. I was never bitter.
Sure.
I was sad when I was young, and I longed
for you.
my dad.
How was that? The nerves, the adrenaline. Holy fuck.
And I don't know. And I said it politically, no aggression, no anger.
Okay.
And he said to me, "You're lucky." He said, "You don't know what it's like living with an alcoholic. Oh, your life would have been terrible if I was involved." I said, "You still could have sent $100 a month or something." And he's like, "Yeah, you don't understand. It was hard, kid." And I understand. He was selfish, and that was it. But I got to be honest, Vampiro, can always be fucking worse. So boo-hoo. I was sad. It was hard childhood. It was pain. But it could have been a lot worse. People have a worse situation than just their father leaving. There wasn't any violence in my house. There wasn't any sexual misconduct. He was just gone. I would have rather had a father. But all the different things that happen in my life, even the bad things, even going to prison, even all of the negative stuff that happens, it builds who you are. But you got to be strong, and you've got to be resilient to say, I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to stop here. I'm going to keep going and always trying to make yourself better. We all get fucking hit on the chin. You get on the chin, hit on the chin, you go down, and you get up and you keep going. And I think some of those bad things, they weren't pleasurable in the moment.
No, fuck
There's some things that can almost break you, or maybe break you a little bit every time, but you get back up with a scar, but it makes you who you are as an adult. And so if my father would have been there, maybe my life, I wouldn't have been a juvenile delinquent. Maybe I wouldn't have met all the street guys. Maybe I wouldn't have become a street guy.
Right.
Then I wouldn't be me.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd be a lawyer sitting behind a desk.
But you don't know. You can't say it wouldn't be you, because you don't know.
I don't know.
Right. So at least you're conscious of that, because 10 years ago, we couldn't fucking talk like this.
Sometimes it depended on, what ends up happening is people, they repress stuff. So if it's not important and it doesn't serve me for today, if that isn't something that works, then I don't fucking need it, and I push it back. I didn't talk about my gang life. I want people to know I'm not proud. This isn't something, I'm not banging my chest and throwing up gang signs and colors. I'm talking about a real life fucking story. And a lot of my life was fucking tragic. It wasn't a walk in the park. And so when I got out of the gangs, I left them. I pushed it behind me. I didn't talk about it. I didn't go back to reminiscing, but I kept my sweaters. And I kept my albums. My photo albums were stolen. It almost breaks my heart. But now, a couple people in Chicago, they kind of nudged me. Hey man, you want to get in our group? We got this group, man. You're highly respected. And I go, nah, man. Yeah, okay, get in the group. And then I get a message, and people would say, are you this same guy? And now it's okay. Now that I'm older, I say, you know what? I can talk about it, and I was never going to talk about my stories ever. John Romano would always, he'd look at me, and he'd say, you know what, brother? You have a great story. You've got to tell it, man. You've got so many facets. And I'd, yeah. And then whenever it was that Sons of Anarchy came out, John started watching it. And he called me up and he said, Scott, I'm watching Sons of Anarchy, man. Someone's got to see your story. Netflix has to do a series. First of all, I don't need it. I have businesses. I've developed myself into an entrepreneur and a business person, and I've never asked anything from anybody, never been helped by any government. I've never taken any handouts. I built my life, and I'm fine. I don't need a Netflix series. But he nudged, and he nudged a little more. A few other people, and there's a couple things that I don't know happened, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to write, and I'm going to talk about it.
Thank you for sharing. I know some of that stuff's very intimate.
That is.
But before we get to the Netflix series, I want to go back about 30 years, maybe a little bit more.
So when I was 100.
Yeah, when you were 100, when you were at that crucial moment, you know, you've always been involved in amateur wrestling, and you were training kickboxing and that kind of stuff. But when did you get into the promotional side, or the training of the fighter side? Because that's a whole other lifestyle. Even though it's a similar, all the same fucking thugs are in the gym.
I'm gonna offend some people here without intending to offend people.
Okay.
I don't mean to be offensive. I'm gonna state a fact. It's offensive to some people. Okay. When I came here, and I was kickboxing, and I was going to the boxing gym because I knew the skill level would be high and I would learn, and there was nobody there to teach me. I was in the golden era of Mexican boxing.
Okay.
I met Julio Cesar even before he was Julio Cesar. I trained with Mario Cevache Martinez, Dorado Martinez, El Húngaro Martinez, Jorge Baca, and that's, I'm trying to think of the older ones. I'm not skipping over the young ones because there's many other people. Pardon me?
Pepino Cuevas, was he there?
Pepino Cuevas from Mexico City, but that was his era.
Yeah,
that was his era, and Jorge Baca beat him. And there was no real instruction. They didn't know how to teach. And because I have a deep martial arts background, and I trained many different ones, and it's so cool, you train with different people, and I had teachers that were professors. They would dissect it. It's kind of like, you know, in boxing, you go to the boxing gym, the guy goes, no, do this and do that. And the martial arts instructor says, do this. And you want to get the most reach you can by turning your body, getting that extension. Because if I'm just here, look at the difference. and the difference in power. And then they could break down the biomechanics.
Yep.
And I said, I can be a better trainer than any of these people because of the knowledge I have and the great teachers I had. And if I can use that, and so I started giving kickboxing classes. And I was giving kickboxing, but when I gave a class of everything. We went through wrestling. I didn't know jiu-jitsu at that time. Now I'm not bad, but then I didn't know it. I knew wrestling, and I would teach people takedowns, and I would teach them sprawling and defenses. We didn't do a lot. I did basic stuff, and I broke it down. What does a street fighter need that's effective enough to keep him alive in a situation? Because I trained a lot of people. And then boxers started coming to the gym to look for me. And I started training boxers because I could improve details.
Sure.
And that's a big thing when all things are equal. If you can add a little power to somebody, teach them balance, etc. And then that's when Mario Martinez came to me to train him, because I studied nutrition my whole life, and I knew about the healthy lifestyle and the martial arts background, and you know, I did amateur boxing as a young person too. So I knew all of these things, and I put it all together, and it was a pretty good presentation because I could cover everything. Stretching and nutrition. And so Mario Martinez, El Azabache, who made himself famous, he fought Zuma Nelson 2 times. He fought Julio Cesar Chavez for a title when they were both 19 years old. And he came to me, and he was fat. He was weighing like 175, 180 pounds, and he fought at 140. That was his last weight. And he's like, Scott, I don't know what to do. And I said, are you ready to put in the time? I'll fix it. He's like, yeah. And I wrote him out a diet, told him what to drink and how to do it. And every day I made him always have a bottle of water in his hand, drinking it throughout the day. And I changed his food up, and we started training. And then I learned quick. I know he was a very skilled fighter. Little details and what he liked, what he didn't like, what worked for him, and just created this whole thing. And then lo and behold, I'm his official trainer and his manager. And then his younger brother, Ungaro, Antonio, he came with me too. And then Jorge Baca came with me. And then I had this whole stable one time, you know, let's say I had 50 fighters. And it's just getting more and more popular. And Julio Cesar Chavez would come to my gym to train, and as well as many others. And that's how I got involved. But the truth is, I was on my way to anything I wanted in boxing. I've been successful at anything I've ever done because I'm determined, and I put in the time, and I'm willing to trade my time for my goal. So if I got to work 24 hours a day, that's what I'm doing. If I got to sleep 5 minutes under my desk, and I did that with boxing, and then I figured out boxing isn't probably the world for me. Because I don't like to make money being a middleman.
I want to, and I'm not trying to cut you off. I don't want to lose this magic.
But I might have said something you're interested in.
You might have. You might have. So what we've established, and from other podcasts, and especially this one, is your passion for combat sports, where you come from. We've talked about that enough. You're a gym owner, successful businessman, but you've been through some shit. You did some time. You've gone through some extreme violence. A lot of our crew is not here anymore for whatever reasons, life, other things in general. You had some extreme trauma. Your soul is fucking full of scar tissue. Today, are you happy?
Oh man, that is, you came out of left field. I didn't see that. Did anybody here see that coming?
Who's your daddy in these podcasts, baby?
Okay, Papa. Happy, I just remember a couple different quotes. I remember something from a movie, because like, are you happy? It's like, I mean, happy? Like, I jump in, I'm that same person. I'm nothing gets me extremely ecstatic, but I'm in a really good place in my life. So
wow.
So I'm having balance, and
keep going, baby.
I'm gonna explain. I've done my businesses for a long time, and I've grinded out, and one day I hit a wall. Right. I'm like, I just don't like it anymore. I can't even get myself out of bed to go and do it. And And then I started writing the books, and I wrote the cigar smuggling book in 27 months, and then I wrote the next 3 books in probably a 6-month period, non-stop. I didn't really even leave my room, and I'm not happy, and I wasn't happy, and I was in a hole, and I've been feeling for a pretty long period of time. I'm looking. I'm not consciously looking, but I feel like I'm lost. And then you told me to come and do the podcast with you. You invited me to do it with you, and I wasn't. We were doing this thing. You were doing me a favor. Let's showcase my book and let's talk. And then you said another time, hey, let's keep going. Let's talk. Yeah. And I started feeling better, because it's something new to me.
Wow.
My whole life, Vampiro, my whole life I've been very private. So people could look at me and say, well, if he's got all these stories, if he's got this much history, how come he's not famous? Because this is how I live my life. Because, can I change the subject here and talk about fame for a minute?
Not yet.
Be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish for. This is what I love. Because I'm studying with this Shaolin monk guy, but actually he's Buddhist, and there's an online program, and it's all about spirituality, helping me ground myself because of my anxiety. And he said, and you just nailed it, Scott, he said, I have good moments and I have bad moments, but those are emotions that will dictate that, and emotions are a choice. I don't strive for anything except balance. Whether I'm in a good place or bad place, I want to stay balanced. And I've really noticed that about you. You're like me. You're way better socially than I am. But I use this podcast because I can't talk to people. I don't want to fucking talk to people.
How long has it been like that?
My whole fucking life, I think.
That's what
So, but you're here.
Yeah.
And you're helping. So many people write into me and they say, fuck it, I can't fucking do this. But I'm watching a guy. This fucking guy right here was a rock solid, cold motherfucker. He just cold. And that's why I used to say to him, man, oh man, look at that. Keep the fuck away from him. And you just look at his hands, and I mean, this is a fucking battle-scarred, proven, time-tested guy who's not gonna fucking back down. He's a cold motherfucker, but that's out of necessity. That's out of fear. And now to see him, you know, that wine bottle is open and the gas is going out, and that beautiful wine that is this human being can come on out and share this with you, this is fucking huge. So this is a real spiritual moment for me. So I just want to thank you for having the courage to do it.
It's not hard once you take the top off.
Yeah.
And you also have to know how to speak, to express yourself. You have to be articulate enough, because it's funny, you know, guys, because I'm writing about this right now in my book, nobody knew my life when I was young. There's a part you probably didn't even know. I just finished editing this chapter, and then I made a video about it because I never thought about it. I was in an orphanage when I was 11 years old. I was in an orphanage. You know, I was so bad and so lost, and my mother didn't know what to do. God bless her soul, because it wasn't her fault. She didn't know how to be a mother. She had no clue of what to do, and I was her daddy by the time I was probably 10. And so I went away I was thrown out of all the regular kid schools, and I was put into the parochial schools, the bad kid, the problem kid, the alternative, and I got thrown out of one of those. And my mother was at her wit's end. She didn't know what to do, and they said the only option is if he goes into the orphanage part. He lives here. We can't, because I was just truant mostly at the school, and so I lived in the orphanage for a year, and I got thrown out of there too. But I told a story the other day. I was, can I tell a personal story?
Please.
The orphanage, they were these big dorms, and the building was like a big hallway with these square 2-story dorms. And they were one after another, and I'm going to say there were about 50 kids in there. We slept on cots, just like the military. So nobody's going to feel, anybody who's in the military knows what rough life is. We had a chow hall for each unit. We had a social unit with couches and a TV, ping pong or something, and then the group bathroom we all shared. And these were rough people from all over the city. People that had no parents, wards of the state. I was 11 years old when I was living there. I mean, I was the beginning of a street kid, but you're not tough. You might think you're tough. There's very few 11-year-olds that are tough. And when you're in there with guys that are 14, 15, 16, and they were there up until 17. I remember one night I was in my cot, and this black dude came over, and he ripped the blankets off of me, and he put his hand over my mouth, and he sat on me, and he's like, quiet. You know, first of all, I'm 11, he's 16, and you know, you're sleeping. There's a pause, and then I just fucking wiggled and squealed and moved and got his big fat ass off of me and made some noise. And the guard came running in, but he's in there sleeping too. By the time he crosses the hallway, turns on the light, turns on, what the fuck are you jerk-offs doing in here? And everybody's back in their cot playing stupid. Quit fucking off and go to sleep. The next day, I couldn't sleep that night. The next day I couldn't think. Remember, I'm an 11-year-old boy.
Yeah.
I sharpened 2 number 2 pencils. At school, you know, we had those sharpeners on the corner of the teacher's desk or on the wall, and I sharpened those 2 pencils, and I took them in with me, and I was waiting, and I fell asleep, and then he came, and he ripped the covers, you know, he pulled the covers back, and his pants were already undone, and I just gripped that pencil, and the first one I stuck in, it broke. So that's the end of my weapon, and he came charging, and I took the other one and I stuck it in him, and it just went right into him, and he squealed like a dog getting kicked, and he took off running, and that was all I knew how to do. I didn't know how to do anything else, and my wife made a comment to me the other day. She said to me, "You think he did this to other kids?" And I go, I don't know, but I never thought about that before. Maybe this dude went around to see where it worked. I don't know, but it was a rough place. And I never talked about it after the age of like 15. I never talked about it, never thought about it, never thought this was a significant, pivotal point in my life, because I lived it. But not everybody lives like that.
No, they don't. So you haven't asked me, you told me about balance. How does any of this trigger you?
No triggers. I hold no, I let every bad feeling flow out of my body. I fucking hold no pain, no guilt, no anger, because it's fucking cancer for you. If you hold shit in, somebody made you mad 20 years ago and you're still pissed off, you're fucking killing yourself, because you're not doing anything to them. I don't hold anything. I mean, there's some things in there, like I could say, you know, I think about my dad, and it would have been good to have a dad throw. I remember I used to dream about throwing the ball, and that's why I didn't play baseball, I didn't play football, I didn't play basketball in kids' sports. I didn't have a dad at home. I learned how to fight just hanging out in the neighborhood and going back and forth from school. So that's probably why I chose that, and like you said, out of fear, that's probably why I learned how to fight, because I had to. I was scared if I didn't know how.
I just want to clarify one point. You know, when he doesn't really move his arm like this.
Did I move it?
He has a shoulder operation.
Oh, thank you.
So so you know, I don't want you to think. You know, he was talking about smuggling cigars, and he was like this. So I just want to clean that up right now.
Oh.
I'm trying to fucking introduce my boy here.
Hey. Thank you, because I was noticing that I had my right shoulder repaired, and it's by momentum. It's normally stuck here, and anyway, it's my shoulder.
There you go. A lot of people have really, especially in Latin America, where I have the majority of my exposure, but especially people in my life, I was able to, people who follow me in English or in Spanish, know my trials, know my errors, know that there was no way to control me, know that I was a disaster from day one, and that I was destined to not be here anymore. There were times in my life, and there was years of my life that I was not good, but there was times in my life where I was at the end. And there, you know, the birth of my daughter is one thing that straightened me out. Being blessed to have a woman in love with me without judgment is something else that it's new to me. But the third thing, and everything, if you're a magician and you know those things, comes in three, like the triangle, like a pyramid. There's a third component. And one of the biggest influence, my oldest friend, my realest friend, somebody who's, even when I didn't need it, has done nothing but give me everything, has helped me more than a normal person, and no more than anybody deserves, never asked for anything in return, and has kind of made me grow up and become It's slow because I got a lot of shit I got to get rid of. But the reason I am the way I am, successful as a professional human being and trying to clean myself up and becoming who I am, which is instantly opening doors on an international level as far as business goes, is this friend here. And I didn't say this person or this man, this friend, this brother here, Scott,
Thank you.
has been somebody in my life that I wouldn't be here today, where I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for his help. And I'm not the only one that you've helped. And I want to know what you think now that you just heard what I said. Other people say that about you. Your books are going to do the same thing, but now you have an audience listening to you. You are going to change people's lives at this level.
I hope so.
How do you feel? And that's not a responsibility, but you're responsible now because you're now involved in so many people's lives. What does that do to you?
I'll tell you this. First of all, I have this belief that
You're welcome, by the way, for that love.
I said thank you 3 times.
I got to get
man.
the fucking guy out of the house.
3 times, and that's very cool. Thank you. I was going to say that every time I see any type of celebrity using their platform to influence people politically, it really bothers me because they're just a person who has a spotlight on them. They're not superhumans. They're not any better than anybody else. They're just, some of them might have a very talented way of entertaining a crowd, but I hope that I would never influence people in a bad way. I try and show by example. I live an exemplary life. I was a bad motherfucker and no good and a scumbag and in many periods of my life, and I think I've paid the dues.
Yeah.
You know, I've covered my past with good, and once I started maturing and becoming an adult and raising my children, and I hope that I can lead by example. I hope that people can say, yeah, that's good, because there's a lot of bullshit leaders out there. You're following them into the abyss. Just if you're following brands and luxury watches and beautiful cars, that shit isn't important. What you know and hear and the way you react to life is important. So I hope I can lead by example. As far as nutrition, I eat like a nutrition monk. And that doesn't wear off on people automatically.
Fuck no.
That doesn't, you know, I sit at the table with people, and I'm the only one ordering a glass of water, and they're all ordering soft drinks. And it doesn't wear off. People aren't like, oh man, yeah, Scott's healthy. Give me water too. That doesn't work.
No.
Same thing with the food. You know, there I am eating my chicken breast with a sweet potato and some guacamole. People are looking at that like, you're really gonna eat that? I'm like, this is real food.
Yeah.
And they pass the dishes past me, like the fried stuff. Smells good. Oh, I got to make a comment, Ian.
Go ahead.
I tasted a churro the other day for the first time in my life.
At your party?
Yeah, at my party. Did you taste them?
They were fucking from God.
Oh man, are you kidding? I wouldn't normally eat it. I'm sorry. You can offend me if you want.
They were fucking good.
Yeah. I eat really good. I've never tasted one. If I'm going to eat a dessert, I save it for like what I really like, and I'll go to a certain place to get that favorite dessert instead of eating just crap because it tastes good. So my wife, she caught me off guard, because normally people bring food and I look and inspect it first. She caught me off guard, and I took a bite of that churro, and it was like fireworks started going off in my mouth. Oh man, it was delicious. It was so good. She convinced me to go back for like 3 more.
That's so awesome. You know, I want to talk to you about this. I want to talk to you about this. I want to finish off with the next thing I'm going to say.
Okay.
I fucking love that you and your wife are best friends and you laugh your asses off together everywhere you go. I've never seen you have fun. You're worse than me, and I'm an asshole. It just is what it is. But I see you laughing with her about the dumbest shit, and she says shit. Look, I love your wife, man. But she comes up with shit that I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. But to her, it makes perfect sense.
Oh, that's so funny.
And it's like, but I see you love it.
Because I go through that with her too. I'm like, I don't fucking know what you just said. You want to break this up into compartments?
like she goes, you have mental health, don't you? I was like, yeah. She goes, you don't like to talk about it, right? And I was like, no.
And she keeps pushing.
I said, why don't you like to talk about it? So I just uncomfortable. So why don't you? And I'm like, oh my fucking God. So I can only imagine. But it's awesome because it's who she is. And I see
it's all natural.
But I see you happy there. I see you having fun.
I'm going to make a funny statement. She hates it when I say it. My wife would be the queen of the world if she married somebody like Jeff Bezos. For instance, the quality of person she is, and her heart is in the right place. Her brain is she's very smart, very social. And if she married like a billionaire, she could shine because she would do so much charity work to help people and really be involved in. And Jeff Bezos walking into a room with a woman like her, they would just both shine together. She would light up that room. He would be opening foundations. She gets mad when I say it, and she said, yeah, but I married you. You better go become a billionaire then. And that's the solution. And I'll tell you why I say that, Ian. There was something funny on it's a true story. This guy and his wife were together having fun, being silly one night, and he put an ad for her on eBay. He made an ad like, selling wife. He kind of made it similar to the ad of a car.
Okay.
And so it was really, really funny and catchy, and it became viral. They were on the TV everywhere, news, interviews, and he was like, it was her and I joking between us. We never expected something like this was going to be crazy, and I thought about it, and I had this thought because my wife is just this amazing person, and I thought if something happened to me, I would only want the best for her. And I thought, I had this, whatever you want to call it, I had this vision and this thought, and I said, what if I found out I had terminal cancer and I was going to die? I would take out full page ads in newspapers in different cities describing her like the guy described in this ad, saying, this woman is amazing because of these and these reasons. She must find the best man in the world. That's who she deserves. That's the quality. So that's probably why she brings this peace and harmony to me that you see, because it's not probably my wonderful fucking personality.
No, there's better ways to tell your woman that you love her than saying, if I was going to die. He's getting there. He's getting there.
Yeah.
He's getting there.
Yeah. So,
but I'm going to save him because if his fucking, once she sees this, I'm going to make sure.
All bubbly like hot water and soap.
Yeah. So, to finish this off, I saw something on the weekend with you that was fucking devastatingly awesome. We were walking out to the car, and the window rolled down, and these 3 fucking tornadoes hit his babies. Plastered their fucking heads. The window's only big enough for one, but there's 3 of them. So they all got in there somehow. And they were just, their eyes were lit up, and they were just so emotional to see you. And it was so fucking cool. Because I was like, oh man, I remember my daughter when she was a baby. But you're looking at these 3 little angels, then I turn around and I see my friend who I know is a hardened motherfucker. Who's a hard motherfucker. And we've all seen hard motherfuckers. He's a hard man. He's a real man. That's a hard man. And I saw this guy melt. What are those 3 little babies? What does that brood do for you? Do you ever just stop and you just looked at me and said, isn't it fucking awesome? You were just so happy. What is that? Where's your heart with all that?
That's pretty cool. It's just amazing. Anybody who has had a child, the feeling you felt when the first child was born. It's a reason I changed a lot of things in my life up till today because everything in the best interest of them. But the most important part here is my wife. She is the one who promotes that. She is the one who tells them, your father is great. Your father does these things for you. Your father is the man. He's the boss. Your father's coming home. Run, go home. You remember my friend, Jose Miguel?
Yes, I remember your friend.
My friend. I'll claim him. My friend, Jose Miguel, had these memories and this experience. His father would come to town. His mother would go out and get him, the kid. She'd go to the beauty salon. The kid would go get a haircut, put him in his best little suit, go to the airport and wait for the dad. Your dad is just the most important thing. Your dad is to be honored. And that's what my wife brings to my living room table. So my kids know Dad is the boss. She respects Dad. I respect her. We got this whole, everything is synchronized. And that's why you see the kids that much. Because my other kids, I have 8 kids, by the way.
So 9.
I have 8. Yeah.
Yeah, you fucking do.
Yeah, I do. 8 kids. And
9.
And the first ones didn't react the same way because their mothers weren't into it. Because my wife is into it, she is teaching them and showing them. I'm a shining star for them, and it was a pretty amazing feeling. It's not easy at home. I have 2-year-old twins and a 4-year-old son, and then the oldest is 11. It is not easy. It is not simple, but I love it. Every minute of it. And Ian, we were talking a little earlier about this. I am the next period of my life is going to be telling my stories. I'm going to be out there. I'm going to tell it all. There's nothing that's off limits. I really don't have anything that I really need to be ashamed of.
No.
There's a lot of juvenile delinquency and delinquency in general. So there's a real lot of that. Believe me, internally, I've paid my dues, and I'm going to talk about it. And I kind of had this feeling where I had to talk about it before I'm gone. And anybody who's out there knows you hit a certain age, and you finally realize you don't have eternity. There is a finite date.
Yeah. Listen, this has been a great conversation.
Where are we, by the way?
Where are we?
Yeah.
We're in Santo Coyote, who is going to be a partner with us. They are part of the development of our new studio.
That's funny. I kind of forgot. So you mentioned it, and they're going to sponsor the podcast studio.
It's amazing, right. And this is here when we have. There's a couple things in we'll get to it at another time, but this is going to be part of something a little bit bigger. It's going to be included in all that. But we just want to give out a mad shout out and big love because of their involvement in this. And this is a lot cooler than us sitting in against a wall.
Well, this is, by the way, we're at Santa Coyote, Guadalajara, Mexico. Yeah. And this is their tequila museum, which is vast. And
2,500 brands.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Pretty fucking amazing.
This restaurant is like 10,000 square feet, I think.
It's huge.
Like that.
But you're going to be involved in everything that's going on here, and just want to say thank you to them for being part of this family.
Thank you to everybody for listening to my story. Anybody they're curious and asking again, you can find me. You can send me a message. I'll answer messages, any questions you have. And thank you for watching Vampiro, and thank you, Vampiro, for including me in this amazing journey.
Dude, this is your journey, bro. And at the end of this podcast, there's going to be links that are going to be direct to Scott's sites, his Instagrams, and his Facebook. And of course, the book will come out in January. You're going to be able to purchase that. If you're nice and I can convince him, we're going to have some special copies that are going to be signed personally by Scott. There's not going to be a lot of those, so pay attention if you want to get a hold of one of those. It's a story that's going to change your life. This is going to grow and grow and grow and grow. I really want to help Scott and his book get out there because it's a story you need to hear. It's changed my life. Scott is going to be a regular on this podcast and his own podcast. And just to jump into what's next, you saw a really soft side of a hard man, but I'm just going to put this out there as a preview for what's coming next. We're going to talk about something that happened to finish this off with Scott's friend Jose Miguel. Let me tell you the difference between a normal person in Scott's eyes, which is Jose Miguel, and somebody like Scott. Go and rent the fucking Bruce Willis movie, Die Hard. Was it the computer one? I forget the name of it.
Oh, yeah.
and you know, there's this geek, fucking geeky.
Isn't he the girlfriend of his son? Of his daughter? It's something like that.
So, but
he's the boyfriend of the
guy's a fucking computer hacker. Just a fucking, he's a nerd. but he's wanted by the FBI for this cybercrime. And then there's the hardened cop, which is Bruce Willis, who goes through fucking hell. So Bruce Willis comes and picks the kid up to drive him to Washington because he's got to get interviewed. Anyways, the guy's getting fucking bombs and this and that, and he's getting destroyed, and fucking Bruce Willis is diving through fire. He's got one finger up his ass. He's got to shoot 3 guns with one finger. The whole fucking deal. There comes a fucking moment in the movie.
Oh, what a great scene.
The fucking best scene ever. And Bruce Willis tells the fucking kid, wait here, or whatever the fuck he says. And then Bruce Willis is really pissed off. He's fighting with a fucking helicopter. He gets in the police car. He fucking steps on the fucking gas and he's driving full speed down the tunnel, and he hits another car and he jumps out of it and it spins in the air and he takes out the fucking helicopter. It blows up. He's full of blood and he's all fucked up. He's crawling back. He's got gunshots and all kind of shit.
Oh, this is so great. So great.
And there's my boy Scott. And he comes out to fucking Jose Miguel. And Bruce Willis says, are you okay? He says, well, yeah, I think I fucking stubbed my toe and broke my nail. He says, how you doing? Fucking hell.
Oh, that's fucking so awesome.
Isn't
what an
it?
awesome scene. What a great description.
That is fucking Scott, and that is his friend, Jose Miguel.
But Jose Miguel, just so you know the origin of my friendship with him, his parents brought him to me when he was 13 years old, and he was getting bullied in school. He was just a 13-year-old awkward kid, no brothers, no sisters, only child, and they brought him to me, and it was just like that scene. And I remember beating the shit out of him and torturing him, and I talked to his parents, and I made them promise me, if I'm going to train your kid to fight, you will not listen to his complaints, and you must bring him in every day. And he would cry to them, I don't want to go with him. And I remember the day he said to me, we were in the ring, and I was not abusing him. We became lifelong friends, and I was just teaching him how to fight old school. I'm an old street guy from Chicago. And I got him, and I remember I threw him down in the ground, and I was smothering him, and he started crying, screaming and kicking, and he said, I didn't come here to learn lucha libre. I want to learn how to fight. And I put my hand over his mouth and I said, you little fucking pussy, you're going to say that to the kid that's picking on you? Let's make a gentleman's fight out of this? I said, you got to know how to defend yourself every which way. And eventually he did. He became a good student, and he protected and beat the shit out of all the bullies.
How old is he now?
He's about 45, and he still lives with his mother.
So he came to Scott when he was 13, living with his mom, because he was getting bullied, and now he's 45, still living with his mom. He's getting bullied on the Vampiro podcast. Jose Miguel, I love you, brother, but go fuck yourself. We'll see you next time.